Hey, what's up everybody? Carlton Flowers here with the Go Political channel. And today I have a little video for you that emanates from a discussion on my weekly presidential poll. So in this video, I want to talk about a comment that was given by GimmeTeaCaroline, my good friend Caroline from the great state of Ohio, the Buckeye State. As a matter of fact, she lives only 15 minutes from the hometown where my wife grew up in Massillon, Ohio. Okay, so I'm going to read out her comment and then we're going to look at some of the comments to her comment and then we will discuss. And please, if you would, subscribe to GimmeTeaCaroline's YouTube channel. She is a fantastic person and I'm helping her to grow her channel, and she is going to be a great and fantastic YouTuber in the future. All right, so let me read you Caroline's response to the poll. By the way, let me scroll up and show you that the poll, as far as the Go Political audience, is looking pretty lopsided, where we have Donald Trump at 66% of the 424 votes. We only have 15% to go to Joe Biden. Only 4% to Robert F. Kennedy, which is pretty sad. And then the no vote option taking 15%. Now, Caroline's response is primarily targeting these people that are in the 15% category. And this is what breaks out such a good discussion. So let me begin by reading Caroline's response. She says, "No voters, ask yourselves, since the two candidates themselves don't interest you, was your life better under the previous administration or now? And if it didn't change, either for the better or worse, I'd be surprised. Do you want the life you had pre-COVID, or are you okay with things the way they are? Take the human out of it. How have both administrations affected your life? And reconsider your stance on voting. This is your life. There are no surprises here." Good point. We have seen and experienced both. That's a very, very good point that she made there. So please don't sit back and watch. This affects your lives too. Now, the first comment, I don't know what this person meant, saying there's 3 people, not 2. LOL, you people. I think that's a troll comment, so we can't really take that seriously. In fact, I'm going to give my first thumbs down because I know what this person is trying to do. He's trying to get a reaction out of me over a previous topic, and you're not. It's because of this right there. So I'm going to ignore that and give it a thumb down. So Caroline came back and said, thanks. So I'm hearing you want me to edit it so that I can positively reflect the one person that voted, because they're the only ones that will select that option over the course of this poll. I gave that the thumbs up. Now, the next one that's interesting, Tomash 1268 says this. This is interesting. Bottom line, for me, I'm more concerned with local politics first. As the national elections, whomever is elected president do absolutely nothing for the common 9-to-5 people, but cater to the rich. I can understand where you're coming from, Thomas, but I disagree. I certainly can't vote for a guy who conspired to overthrow the country, has been convicted of 30-plus felonies, and the other guy is too darned old. I'm 81, and brings too many folks from other countries, ensures them with a good life over the citizens of this country who's put in the work, especially seniors. Okay, I'll agree with that second statement. That is very true. But let's hit rewind and go back to this thought pattern about the presidential election only affecting the rich. They do cater to the rich, but you common people, the 9-to-5 folks like you, Tomash, you are affected. And Caroline is going to answer that part, but you are certainly affected. And as she said, we've seen both of these administrations. We had 4 years under Donald Trump. We had 4 years that's about to come to a close under sleepy Joe Biden. And we know what we get. One big difference that I noticed between the two is the amount of spending or printing of new money that is going on between the two. Now, we will always print money. That's how we run the world, because we have the money printing machine. The feds create money out of thin air and pour it into the economy to buy the things that they think are important, and then we pay the price for it in the grocery store when prices for eggs and milk and butter pretty much double. They continue to go up. So during the years of the Biden administration, we had a lot more money printing because of certain things that they find it necessary to spend money on, like the war in Ukraine, the Middle East conflict, money to Israel, all right? And then we are the ones who foot the bill for that spending. And that's why we are seeing inflation go out of control. So for that reason, I would disagree with you that the presidential election has absolutely nothing for the common 9-to-5 people. It absolutely does. I find it hard to keep up with my own finances, as I have raised 4 kids to adults and have 2 in college, 2 that are adults, and one of them is married with 2 of my grandbabies. So I am struggling, all right, as I have just graduated the 3rd child, who is now an architect, and the 4th and final one is a sophomore engineering student at the University of Missouri, and is taking a co-op job in St. Louis at Hunter Engineering, making more money than I made the year that I retired my engineering career for the state of Missouri. So we're on the come up, but the last 4 years have been a definite struggle. And there are certain things that have changed, like insurance and prices in the grocery store and inflation, and our fossil fuels, energy prices have skyrocketed, and it's making it hard for me. I definitely have to work harder. Okay, so the next statement that he makes that I want to take issue with. I certainly can't vote for a guy who conspired to overthrow the country. I'm going to have to do a whole video on that, because that's a lopsided statement. There are a few things that people don't tend to want to discuss. First of all, Joe Biden was a part of that just as much as Donald Trump was. Now, why do I say that? I say that because we know that the Democrats did not allow the Capitol Police to respond to the situation. As a matter of fact, the New Jersey police were on the scene from 45 minutes away before the Capitol Police showed up. There were also, and this is fact, mind you, there were undercover agents from the FBI who were on site in the crowd instigating a riot. That is fact. So we have both sides. You had Donald Trump, who was stirring up the crowd from the podium, and we had the Democrats over here who were in charge of the FBI and the Capitol Police that did not call the Capitol Police or the any of the local police departments to come and handle the situation. So if it really was an overthrow, why did they not disperse the National Guard or the Capitol Police? But that's another topic for another video. Now, this next thing, convicted of 30-plus felonies. Nonsense. Tell me one of the felonies that is legitimate. Tell me one. Now, one case that is going to get thrown out hands him multiple felonies for a box of papers that was found at Mar-a-Lago. So instead of saying, okay, we're going to give you one felony count for removing a box of documents that was confidential information that could not be removed from the White House. No, we're going to count a felony for every sheet of paper that is in the box. Okay? I'm going to do another breakdown video on this because it's very interesting, because both Joe Biden and Donald Trump were caught. All right? Caught. And I have to put that in quotes because one side, it was a setup, but both of them were caught with papers that were supposedly confidential information that could not be removed from the White House. When President Joe Biden was caught with his box of papers in his house, the judge, who I'm not going to say who it is right now, but there's a corrupt person who serves in a certain office in the federal government, who said, well, Joe Biden is an elderly man who means well, and he's just an old man and didn't realize that the papers were there. Now, if he's that old that he can't tell the difference between papers that should stay at the White House and ones that should not be removed, why do we trust him as the president? But that we'll set aside. The other individual had a box mailed to Mar-a-Lago, mailed from Washington. Fact, it was the Biden administration's FBI that mailed the box, set up a plan to mail it, and then go and raid the compound. And when they raided the compound, unlike telling Joe Biden, hey, we're going to come and we're going to run through this box of stuff that you've got in your house, we'll give you fair notice and, no big problem, we need to check this out. No, they authorized the FBI to use deadly force if they had to. Now, who were they going to use deadly force against but the Secret Service that protects Donald Trump? Why are we authorizing the FBI to use deadly force over a box of papers that was mailed to an ex-president's residence? Again, that's a topic for another video. So we then have the felony counts for the hush money trial. So Donald Trump allegedly had an affair with a porn star, which is a pretty bad, pretty sad thing, a wrong thing to do if he had the affair. And he made a settlement agreement and said, we're going to pay you to keep your mouth shut, which happens all the time. Now, we've turned that into a federal crime, punishable by jail. I'm going to do a video and I'm going to tell you what happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I lived through this. A lot of you millennials and younger people did not. When President Bill Clinton had an affair and paid 8 times more, almost 8 times more, 7 times, an amount of $800,000 to make a lady keep her mouth shut about an affair that took place. Now, we see a stark contrast between how the two situations were treated. And since we definitely see this difference, it makes you scratch your head and wonder, well, what is the real charge? What's the felony charge? He paid someone to shut their mouth. And so then the Democrats say, well, it was because it was related to the election because he didn't want people to know about it because it would affect the election. Now, I'm going to set that aside too. I'm going to set that aside and we're not going to argue that point. But I have not found one single felony. And here's the thing. What if this is political lawfare? What if it is? Now, what if all of these felony counts are overturned? What if we find out that it is Joe Biden who has a strong history of lawfare dating back to what he did to Clarence Thomas back during the Bush administration? What if this is the same exact situation where none of these felonies are legit, but they are purely trumped up charges, no pun intended, in order to slap the label felony on the gentleman who is about to win in a landslide in an election against the very president who incited this lawfare? What if? What if? What if the whole jury were all a part of the same political party? What if the judge and everyone within that jurisdiction were all a part of the same political party? What if there was collusion going on between the White House and the judge in the state of New York? Would that be bad? Certainly it would be. I'm not saying that it was. You could do your research and you're going to find out. But that's why I do not find a single one of these felonies to be legitimate. All right, so moving right along. Caroline says, I disagree. And then this next individual says, you can blame Putin for any negative changes in the economy. I don't agree with that. That's part of it. But the war in Ukraine, however, did cause lots of disruptions in the supply chain. And Caroline gets into this in her answer. But we have dumped billions and billions of dollars into supporting the country of Ukraine, printing billions It could be in the trillions. I don't know. I know it's at least 200 billion, probably more than that, of money that did not exist in the economy before, that after they hand that money off to the defense contractors to pay for all of the munitions, then that filters right back into our economy. It floods our economy with new money, all right? And when we dilute the value of the dollar, prices naturally go up. So you cannot blame Putin for that. I would disagree with that. Now, next, let's talk about Caroline's response here. She says gas prices up, heating cost up, shipping costs because of increased gas up, production costs because of increase in energy prices up, grocery prices because all of the increases in prices it takes to manufacture and ship those products up. Why? Because we now rely on others for the energy that we need and use in every aspect of our lives rather than producing the energy ourselves, which we were doing until someone stopped it because of radical climate activists who can't accept that this is what our entire lives revolve around and cannot dismiss the idea that it will probably remain this way for at least another 100 or 2 years. Please consider voting. If none of this affects you, by all means, vote for the candidate in office and vote your support for this new world we live in. All of this affects you. I think you know where I'm going with this. So I said, well stated, and of course, this is the video that I have done in response to this thread. So again, please like and subscribe to GimmeTeaCaroline. She has a fantastic channel, and I want you to give her as much support as you can. Okay. I'm going to be talking more about this. All right. Let me turn on the light. I forgot to put on my little face light there. There we go. We will get into more of those topics that I just brought up, and I will break out some of those discussions. And last but not least, I will say for the person who says that only local elections count. If you live in Dalton or Thornton Township, do you think local elections are the only one that count? When we see the governor and the AG of Illinois sitting back doing nothing about what is going on in your local situation, when we see your mayor hobnobbing with the president of the United States, do you think that the national election will have no bearing? And do you think if this same party was not in control that we would have the same speed of investigation dragging on for months or years on end? Do you think it would be the same? So ask yourself that question and tell me if the federal level has no bearing on your local situation. I think you know the answer to that question. So at any rate, I tell you what, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video, pass it on, tell a couple of friends. I've got a big one that's coming up. Heads up, there's a poll going on right now. Go to my community tab and vote on the poll because I got a big idea for a video, especially the Dalton and Thornton Township people. And in the meantime, I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Go Political channel. And if you would like to help defray the cost of me producing this channel, you may do so with the giving of a super thanks. I will be going live soon so we can present some new topics and I can raise some money because I want to do more of this and earn a living helping to amplify your voice, all right, and helping to bring people together from opposite sides of the fence, shed light on corruption, and just have a good time. So that's all I've got for now. This is Carlton, and I am out of here.